So let's talk about the rapture and what we need to know, where the primary one verse encompassing this doctrine is found in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17, where here is 1 out of 14 total occurrences of the verb harpazo translated robbed, where in the DLT translation it is either consistently translated rob or robbed, of which this harpazo here is a very real and profound event, which has been coined rapture by human, where the word rapture is not found in the Word of God. And this word has been translated many different ways. Snatch, catch up, take by force, catch away, and pluck, where inserting the word up, catch up, or away is irresponsible because there is no preposition in this word denoting motion away or up or any which way. And yes, this is in relationship to the clouds and the air. But adding these different prepositions is not having a pattern of words being healthy and simply does not harmonize with other occurrences of harpazo. And the picture I've used for the thumbnail showing people floating up in the air doesn't even depict what harpazo is. A harpazo is a seizing of something very quickly. We understand angels as officiating spirits have the ability to transport human beings of flesh and blood according to harpazo. And when the Spirit of the Lord, an angel, an officiating spirit, robbed Philip, where the eunuch did not no more perceive him, Acts 8:39, well, from the perspective of the eunuch, Philip disappeared. It's like in that old TV show Bewitched where she would twinkle her nose and she could disappear herself but also make others disappear and then reappear somewhere else. So what we actually see is that a harpazo is a metaphysical means of transporting a human being of flesh and blood, of which officiating spirits, angels, have the ability to do to human beings. Where I might also add that demons, fallen angels, have the same ability. But that's beside the point of this video, because what I want to talk about here is the relationship of the harpazo in 1 Thessalonians 4:17 to the watch times. What we need to understand is that there are terms, limited times, where many events will unfold long before, years before the harpazo, which earlier events begin at eventide, first watch time, where we'll soon see the harpazo into the air at midnight. This is according to the cut in two of Luke 12:46, the same thorough parting according to Luke 12:52, which I speak about in my previous video, Blissful Expectation. And also the trump of God, verse 16, in relationship to the harpazo, is not the same last trumpet of 1 Corinthians 15:52. No, the last trump is according to that which is uncuttable. There is no more cutting between the two. The third on account of the second, and the second on account of the third watch times. Because it's the trump of the all finished. The all finished at cock's voice, third watch time. And if you don't know what watch times are, well, simply stated, they are the 4 periods of time that divide the hours of the night, where biblically evening begins at 6 p.m. and carries into the morning, 6 a.m. And here in Mark 13:35, Jesus lays out the 4 begard times of the night, where I use the same color code in other charts in helping to identify various verses and context according to each watch time. And as I've said many times, God has given the revelation concerning these watch times according to events that will unfold in the transition of the present heavens and earth into the new, that we can establish the orders of such events and terms. And what we need to establish here is that what everybody deems to be the rapture is not the first event according to the blissful expectation. The blissful expectation according to the first watch time. No, it involves the transition from the finishing of the second watch time into the beginning of the third watch time. And how do we establish this? Well, it's actually quite simple because God has given us a pattern of words being healthy, of which most Bible translations have once again simply ignored. And in 1 Thessalonians 4:17, the harpazo involves an encounter, where here you see the little fr encounter. From the Greek now, epenthesis. which has freely been translated in most translations as simply meet, to meet the Lord in the air. But again, here's just more irresponsible Bible translating, because this word is contained within a word family that needs to be distinguished from other words in the same family. And to help distinguish between these, the DLT has added the little FR in front of the word encounter due to the prepositional element, which is apo, denoting motion that is away from the surface of a thing. Appanthesis. Now, in the same word family, we also find the noun and verb with the preposition hupo, hupanthesis, which hupo denotes that which is under. It can denote under the authority or under in place or position, as well as according to under the hand of in a moral or legal subjection, which the DLT translates encounter on the under way. Which brings us to the parable of the 10 virgins, because we find both hupanthesis and appanthesis in the context of this very important parable. In Matthew 25:1, we read the regency of the heavens will be likened to 10 virgins who, having taken their brightening lamps, came out into the encounter on the under way, hupanthesis, with the bridegroom. However, in verse 6, in relationship to the middle of the night, we see that the outcrying had become, and the bridegroom is nearing, come out to the from encounter, the appanthesis. Where let me point out the words at the are added here from the conjunctive particle day, which is actually defined as a weak adversative particle generally placed second in its clause, indicating that which is moreover as next, where the middle of the night describes the event, which will be the opening and closing of a door. So the point being is that they're not awakened at the strike of midnight, but an undefined period of time prior leading into that event. So when they're awakened, they adorn their brightening lamps. They become prepared to enter, according to midnight and the away from encounter. But what's to be noted is that the encounter on the underway is different from the appanthesis away from encounter, where according to the appanthesis, all of those virgins were awakened, including both sober-minded and foolish, which verses such as 1 Corinthians 15:12 suggest this awakened is a resurrection. But if Christ is being heralded that he has been awakened out of the died ones, how do some among you say that there is no resurrection of the died ones? But if there is no resurrection of the died ones, then also Christ has not been awakened. Where the context of the resurrection orders I discuss in my video, 3 resurrection orders. In that the sober-minded and foolish are seen in the context of this parable, points to Acts 24:15, where it states there is about to be a resurrection of the righteous besides also of the unrighteous, hence the sober-minded and the foolish, which context surrounds this parable, where when the bridegroom came and those who were prepared came in with him into the wedding feasts, the door was then shut. And what do you suppose will happen to the sober-minded virgins? Well, they're going to be taken up in glory according to the appanthesis, of which method will be harpazo. So what we see here is that the context of the appanthesis away from encounter is the middle of the night, which is midnight, of course. The finishing of second watch time and the beginning of the third watch time, which the least of under-remnant Israel, virgin Israel, Amos 5:2, will be saved into the all-finished of third watch time. Hence, the last trump, where they too will be changed in an uncuttable moment. But prior to this will be the appanthesis of the away from encounter into the air according to the sober-minded virgins, where we also find appanthesis here in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17, according to the same middle of the night, where the word appanthesis only occurs 3 total times in the New Testament. Once here in Matthew 25:6, right here in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17, and in Acts chapter 28, verse 15. So this unique three-time occurring word is how we establish the timeline of 1 Thessalonians 4:17 being in the middle of the night. Not the beginning of the first watch time at 6 p.m., not the beginning of the second watch time at 9 p.m., but the hours that transition from the second into the third watch time, which brings us back to Luke chapter 12, where in my previous video we discussed the blissfulness according to all three watch times, where the first watch time here has disappeared, where the dead, according to the blissful expectation of first watch time, will be resurrected, revealed in glory, Colossians 3:4, and all those remaining on the earth at this time, who are deemed according to that deciding factor and the upward calling, who had not yet died, well, and because so many are failing to perceive the first watch time event concerning the upward calling and out-resurrection, again, according to the first watch time, well, many are going to believe that what occurs at the first watch time is the so-called rapture, thinking they were left behind. They're going to deem this is the event of 1 Thessalonians 4:17, which it is not, and they will be made to fear. But Jesus instructs them, saying, "Fear not, you small herdlet, for also it well deems the Father to give you the regency, just as he has with the first," where they will have to become prepared and readily receptive according to the blissful expectation into midnight, according to the parting, the three on account of the two on account of the three, that they may be found among the sober-minded virgins to enter the wedding feasts at midnight, which is the harpazo described in 1 Thessalonians 4:17. The transition in the middle of the night, midnight, not 6 p.m., not 9 p.m., but midnight. And from the beginning of eventide, which is the from the now on, many things will begin to unfold according to the origin beginning of the judgment. 5 will be in one dwelling site thoroughly parted towards one another, and the 5 thoroughly parted towards the others accords with the parable of the 10 virgins, where 5 are sober-minded and 5 are foolish. Just like at present in the Christian organization, where many are surging ones being carried about in all and every wind of the teaching, but others are sober-minded. And those who are not sharing in the unity of the Spirit, the one faithing, the one expectation, etc., are parted towards those who are. So in the through carrying of second watch time into the transition leading to the beginning of third watch time, 3 on account of the 2 represents the foolish on account of the sober-minded. And the 2 on account of the 3 represents the sober-minded on account of the foolish, which all points to the harpazo at midnight, which is the so-called rapture, where years prior will have been the event of the out-resurrection, which I believe possibly we are very near. And due to such vast lack of understanding, many are going to mistake this as the rapture, which will bring in the hysterical terms prophesied by the Apostle Paul, according to the apostatizing ones, those standing off from the faithing, due to their present lack of sobriety, due to their failure for not taking up and slipping into the all armor. So in wrapping up this video, I really sincerely pray that you understand the relationship of the watch times to the event of the from encounter in the middle of the night. Because this event is certainly real. It is going to occur. However, it's not going to occur according to the minds of most Christians, who are getting the cart ahead of the horse due to failure to correctly cut the word of truth. And if one is not correctly cutting the word of truth, one may not be giving themselves a standby approved to God as unashamed worker, on-worker. So be diligent so that you are found watching and sober-minded when the Lord comes to uploosen at eventide. That maybe still there are a few that will pursue into the upward calling, but if not, well then among those into the surround of safeguarding. 1 Thessalonians 5:9, that the God of peace hallow you as holy finished ones, and as holy beloved, yea, may your spirit and your soul and your body be guarded unblameably in the parousia of our Lord Jesus Christ.